My wife kept asking me to be supportive. I swallowed my pride, then an HOA ticket blew the whole thing up. All right, this was my second marriage. We were a blended family situation. I had a teenage son from my first marriage. She had a younger daughter. We lived in one of those picture-perfect suburbs. Big houses, trimmed lawns, and an HOA that will email you if your trash can is out 5 minutes too long. From the outside, everything looks solid. Inside, looking back now, it really wasn't. It started with Tuesdays. Laura began saying she was helping a friend through a divorce, said he was having a rough time, needed someone to talk to. She wasn't hiding it, and she sounded confident when she said it, so at first I didn't question it. She'd leave around 7:30 at night. Tell me she'd be back by 10. Then it became 11, then closer to midnight. I'd ask, "How's he doing?" And she'd say the same thing every time. "Not good, he's struggling. I'm just listening." And honestly, I tried to be the grown-up about it. I'd already been divorced once. I didn't want to turn into the suspicious, controlling guy. I told myself, this is what adults do. They help friends. There's one moment I think about now that still makes me uncomfortable. One night her car was low on gas, so I drove her over there myself, dropped her off. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Thank you for understanding." I remember sitting in the car for a second before driving away. At the time it didn't feel wrong. Now it absolutely does. If you've been through something like this, tell me how you handled it. And yeah, subscribe if you want more real stories like this. No fake lessons, just how it actually played out. This friend lived close by, 2 streets over. His name was Mark, mid-40s, divorced, worked in finance. One of those guys you see at neighborhood BBQs and school events. We'd nodded at each other plenty of times. Nothing memorable. About 3 weeks in, small things started bothering me. Laura would come home and her car smelled different. Not perfume, not anything obvious. Just sort of like a garage mixed with coffee. I brushed it off at first, thought maybe she stopped somewhere. Then I started noticing other little things, not freaking out, just noticing. She stopped bringing her purse inside and left it in the car, which she never used to do. She stopped asking how my day went. It felt like she was there physically but mentally somewhere else. And then everything cracked open over something stupid. One night I went outside to take the trash out and saw a yellow slip tucked under her windshield wiper. HOA parking warning. They're aggressive about that stuff where we live. I picked it up, read it, and saw the address listed. It wasn't ours. It was Mark Street. I stood there in the driveway, rereading it like an idiot. And the weird part is, I didn't storm inside. I didn't confront her. I folded it up and put it in my wallet. I think part of me knew that if I reacted right then, she'd explain it away, and I'd end up doubting myself. The next couple of weeks, I didn't play detective. I didn't follow her around. I just paid attention. Mileage on the car, what time she actually left and came back. Tuesdays were always the same. Then a second notice showed up, this time from the city. Not a full ticket, but a parking notice. Same street. Late night again. That's when it really clicked, because those dates matched the nights she said, "We were talking until midnight. He wasn't doing well." At that point, I didn't want to fight. I wanted certainty. So the next Tuesday, I told Laura I had to meet my ex-wife and my son for something last minute. Said I'd be out late. She didn't ask questions, just said okay a little too fast. That stuck with me. Around 8 that night, I parked where I could see Mark's house without being obvious. And yeah, I know how that sounds. I remember thinking, what am I doing right now? At 8:27, her car pulled in. I didn't get out. I didn't knock. I just sat there. Felt awful, honestly, but I needed to know. An hour passed, then more. At one point, his porch light turned off, and I knew she wasn't just there to talk. That's when I remembered I had Mark's ex-wife's number from a school fundraiser months earlier. Just one of those parent contact things. I texted her, kept it short, no accusations, just asked if she could talk. She called me 5 minutes later. Before I even explained, she sighed and said, "Yeah, I was wondering when you'd notice." We met the next morning at a coffee place near the school. Loud, busy, neutral. She didn't get emotional, didn't overshare, just told me Laura had been there a lot, that she parked in his garage so neighbors wouldn't see her car. That's when the smell made sense. The garage. Everything lined up. At that point, there was no maybe. It was just, okay, what do I do now? I asked her if she'd be willing to be there when I confronted Laura. I knew if I went alone, Laura would flip it and say I was imagining things. Mark's ex hesitated, then agreed. Said she was tired of staying quiet too. That night I told Laura we were meeting someone the next day. I didn't accuse her. I just asked calm questions. She laughed and said I was being paranoid. Asked if I was seriously jealous. The next day we sat down at the coffee shop. When Mark's ex walked in, Laura went pale, like instantly. What surprised me was she didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She got angry, said we were ambushing her, said I had no right, said I'd changed and she needed support. Then she said, "I didn't think you'd do this in public." I didn't yell. I stood up, paid for my coffee, said, "I've heard enough," and left. From there, I did the most practical thing I could think of. I went straight to a lawyer, the same one who handled my first divorce. I wasn't emotional by that point. I just didn't want things to spiral. That same day, I opened a separate bank account, changed my direct deposit, froze the joint credit line, not out of revenge, just protection. When I got home, Laura was packing a bag. Still no apology, just accusations. That I overreacted, that I ruined everything, that Mark was just there for her. I took out the parking notices, the HOA one and the city one, and set them on the table. She looked at them, didn't say a word, grabbed her bag and left. The house felt weirdly quiet. My son asked, "Did she leave?" I said, "Yeah, for now." He nodded like he already knew. We're in the middle of a divorce now. No screaming matches, no public drama, just paperwork, lawyers, and separating finances. I didn't blast anyone online. I didn't confront neighbors. I didn't need to. What's wild is I later found out neighbors had noticed her car at Mark's place for weeks. Nobody said anything. That's suburb life. So yeah, if something feels off, it probably is. You don't need to spy or explode, but pretending everything's fine when your gut is screaming doesn't help either. I wanted to be calm and understanding, and I was. It didn't save the marriage, but it did save me from losing myself in the process.